Let's get to David in Jacksonville, Florida. David, you're live on line one.
Yes, good morning, John. How are you today?
Never better, David.
Yeah, good. I wanted to make a suggestion. We've got 6 states out there in total that were in question, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then probably a couple of soft targets, maybe New Mexico and Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
Rather than sitting around and everybody tweeting messages that nobody half reads anyways, could we find somebody to create a website? Because my belief is the way you take down a tree is from the bottom up. And if we created a website that had those 6 or 8 states with all the local elections from city council to everything, so people are aware of who to follow and who to vote for to take this big tree down from the bottom up. And that way everybody can focus. Because the thing is, I think everybody is not staying on target. Everybody's kind of scattered looking at Twitter is just it's just rhetoric. It's just all over the place. And we need to create a website where there's a target where we can stay on target. B-17 bombers were bombed up in the sky, but they remained on the target, on the ground. And we have to remain on the target and move forward. So if we could find a web creator to have one website to make it nice and simple, planning out all the elections, the election dates, the candidates that are grassroots and that are conservative moving forward, to get that information into the hands of the people, because I believe it's going to this movement, it needs to go from the bottom up.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know if I can do 6. I don't know if I have the resources, but I know what I can do. Georgia. I can do that.
You could have one website with those 6 or 8 states, and then you click on that state.
It's a great
idea.
And
it gives you all the local elections, when they're happening, who's running. You can get candidates up there or whatnot.
That's a great
idea. And we can start this, because we only need to take 4 or 5 of these states back, and it's ours.
No, you're right.
And
Look,
if we do that, we get.
It fits exactly what I've been saying. Stop whining, start doing. I mean, there's too much whining going on. Let's do it.
Like I said, and to me, social networks and all that, Twitter and all that, it's just it becomes rhetoric.
I get it.
And everybody's all over the place, and we need to stay on the target.
Action. So we can get here supervisor races, here's council races, here's school boards. Here are the people that we endorse. Here are the people that want the change, okay? David, let's come up with a name for that. Think about it and call back tomorrow. I'm going to do that. That's a fabulous idea. So far, your call of the day. Thank you, David in Jax, Vegas. 888-480, John. 888-480-5646. 888-480-5646. Let's get to the phone lines where we have Tom in Fairfax, Virginia. Tom, you're live.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me back. I spoke to you a week or so ago. Just listening this morning over the last couple of days, I find kind of where we are somewhat disturbing in this way. You played the video with President Trump this morning, and when I listened to it yesterday, I found it to be weak, and here's what I'm concerned about. We keep apologizing. In fact, I just heard you say, we didn't, what happened last week, the events that happened, et cetera, et cetera. Look, why do we always have to apologize? Look, we all know it's wrong. Why do we have
because we're better than that, Tom. Because we're better than that, okay? We're better than that. And yes, there's a double standard. And yes, it's hypocrisy, and we're going to point that out. My wife holds me to a higher standard. I hold my children to a higher standard. I wear it like a badge of honor. No problem. We're better than that. We're better than that. That's. Go ahead.
No. I totally get that. It's just a feeling I get that there's this sort of lack of fight from President Trump.
No, lack of fight. No, you have to call it out. Look, there's no bigger supporter of President Trump in the media than I've been for 5 years, okay, since he talked about running in January 2015 and he hired Lewandowski. Okay, I've been there from the beginning. But I was one of his biggest critics on Charlottesville, which I thought was a disaster, and I thought his response to that was anemic, and I thought what he said was disgusting and stupid. And so you got to call out dumb things. That doesn't mean you have no fight. It means you're intelligent. So
Agreed.
I thought a speech yesterday was spot on. We don't want any violence. Not for if you, but the hypocrisy of the Democrats is what you need to focus on now, because they burned my city of Richmond down. I stay downtown here when I'm in town. There's nothing open. I was checking in my hotel last night, or going in, and some guy comes in from out of town, and he says about 8:30. He says, "Hey, is there anywhere I can eat here?" I'm in the middle of Richmond at 8:30 when the General Assembly is in session. And I said, no, nothing is open. The city is closed and boarded up. You have to basically either get Uber Eats 20 minutes away or drive to a suburb. There's nothing here. I mean, come on, Tom. Look what they've done. They've destroyed our cities. Go ahead.
Well, that's my point. Okay, so one last thing. I think that one thing that he does need to do, I'd like to hear your comments on this, is where's the special counsel? If he leaves office next week without a special counsel to investigate the Hunter Biden situation, and even this election, I'd be very disappointed. Even if it goes nowhere, don't you think he has to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I hope that others are listening that are with the administration right now, but these are things that have to happen. I think the movement, I think people are scratching their heads right now going, that phrase, where's the Kraken? When is this stuff going to come down? When are we actually going to stand up and do something? I think that's all I'm saying. So I hope we can at least leave with some of that left behind, that we can investigate and find out what truly happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate.
I don't know. I mean, he should have named a special counsel weeks ago on Hunter Biden. I mean, he should have named that. He didn't. And I would have gone through Department of Justice people until they found somebody for that. So he should have done that. There's a lot of things he should have done, right? But, now we got to fight off impeachment, which is critical. And basically, they need 17 Republican senators to convict him. And what they really want to do is destroy the movement. And the way they destroy the movement is by destroying their leader. Right now, it's Trump, and they destroy him. And if they can convict him, I don't know, in April or May, whenever it's over, March, then he can't run for president again, and he becomes a martyr. And I'm not really interested in that. So, but I don't think they're going to get 17, because here's the problem. None of those people are ever going to get renominated because the president didn't do anything wrong, right? But we also have to have an honest assessment when we screw up. And for the people that are texting me and telling me it's Antifa, look, there's no question this thing was a cluster mess and it was infiltrated, right? But the president didn't incite it because it started when he was still speaking. And second of all, there were Trump supporters there that shouldn't have done what they did, whether they were infiltrated or not. So I'm not going to buy into that phony narrative. I take responsibility for my actions. That's what I teach my children. Be responsible. Doesn't mean you're not going to screw up in life, but take action. I mean, be responsible, right? I remember one time, I'll just say a quick story. I was in college. I was a closer. Big game. Shook off a fast. The guy wanted my forkball. 0-2 pitch. Shook him off. Threw a fastball. My fastball basically sucked, but I thought I could catch him off guard. Guy hit a 3-run homer to lose. I come off. I'm walking off the field. My coach says, "You need to drop out of college because you're too stupid to have a job." And I said, "Well, I didn't like the pitch my catcher called." Oh, my God. I sat on the bench for 2 weeks when I said that. We're going to get that. Let's get to Scott in the great state of Washington. Line 1. Scott, you're live.
Hey, John, I'm just going to make my point and get off the line because there's a little bit of feedback, and it's hard to carry on a dialogue. But it would seem to me that with this impeachment, what they've done is they've eroded another one of our constitutional rights, and that would be the right to assemble. The average people are going to be afraid to go to these rallies because if there's some kind of organization that throws out some bad actors, creates these bad scenes, and I'm not saying that there wasn't some Trump people at the Capitol, but if, say, for example, they throw out some bad actors, and then all of a sudden everybody says you're inciting a riot, even these politicians are going to be afraid to have any kind of a peaceful protest. And the other thing I'll say is if Joe Biden goes around and has protests or speeches and there's bad things that happen, how come we can't go after him saying he's incited a riot? So that's all I'll say, and get your comment, get off the line. Thanks so much.
Well, I'll go backwards. First of all, Biden doesn't have rallies because nobody would show up, so we don't really have to be concerned about that. But the first thing is, here's what you do. Don't be afraid to go to a rally. Make it bigger and make it bigger than ever. But don't do anything that don't knock fences down. I mean, don't climb up scaffolding. Don't do any of that. And so if Antifa wants to infiltrate it, and it's Antifa that does it, then Antifa will be found out and they'll be prosecuted. We all stand back and have a good time. So I've gone to, 100 Trump rallies. There's never when the rally's over, the grounds are cleaner than when you came in because there's not a piece of paper, there's not a paper cup, there's not a gum wrapper. It's all picked up and clean. So let's have bigger rallies than ever, and let's do the right thing. And if it gets infiltrated, right? If the only people that went inside the Capitol that got arrested were Antifa people, and we all stood back and waved our flags, then they'd all be going to jail, and it would be easy to prove because none of us were there inside the grounds. So, but they're going to bang you over the head with this and try to break up the rally, shame you, call you a white supremacist, white guilt. That's all they do. But it's so old. So do not despair. Let's get to Tony in Richmond, line 2. Tony, you're live. Tony, you're live, line 2, RVA.
Hey, John.
Sup?
Hey, bud. Y'all don't have any merchandise, do y'all? Because I would really love to rep some of your product, something like that.
You know what? It's we should get merch. It's just it's on my to-do list. We did
I
get
some. I want to be the first one walking around Virginia.
We are going to get
on my shirt.
I promise. I've got staff members that are on me. Like, why don't we have merch to sell? We're going to do it. I'm going to do it. I promise.
I tell all my friends about your radio show, and now you're in Georgia. I mean, you're doing the undoable, and you're taking on some seriously heavy people, and I'm proud of that.
Well, thank you, and it's not easy. We come under fire every day and things of that nature. But you know what? The truth is a powerful thing, and it will set you free. And you can help us out with a donation.
I just want to say on the rally. Listen, there has not been a single call for violence or any type of activity, and for someone to come out on any news channel or any individual with authority or power to ever come out and say that anybody who backs Donald Trump wants to have any violence, they're just flat out lying.
Exactly.
So, for anyone who's listening, I have changed social media websites, and there's not a single person on those websites calling for violence. They're calling for peace, and they're praying to God that things don't get violent. So all you people listening, it's a lie. There's no violence, no aggression, none of that. And if there is, it's a setup.
Tony, thank you. All right, let's get to Patrick on line 2. Patrick, you're live.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Fantastic, actually. Great trading morning.
That's good.
I was listening to the sheriff. I've got nothing but respect for the guy.
Right.
But he doesn't go far enough.
Right.
You have to assume that every single politician is corrupt because of the behavior they just displayed in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
End of story. The only recourse that we have is absolutely treating them with contempt and giving them no money. Get off of Facebook. Get off of Instagram. Get off of Twitter. Bankrupt them. Sell your stock in these companies. Get rid of it. Do not contribute to companies that support these causes. Comcast, AT&T, cut them all. I understand people have to be on the internet. Get the absolute most basic you need. If you need cable, don't buy their television. It's garbage. It's a waste of time. If people really want to make a difference, they have to start getting serious. And that means no more complaining. I think you can be a great leader of this movement by getting Second Amendment groups, conservative groups on your shows. These politicians are worthless. They're not going to do anything. But if you get these groups on, you organize us, and we start hammering these people every single day, change can be made. But they're not going to affect change on their own, because as far as I'm concerned, no Republican is any better than any Democrat or liberal.
Well, certainly the 10 of them that voted for impeachment yesterday, Patrick. I mean, we got 10 Republicans voting to impeach their president, one of them at number 3 in leadership. Hey, did the Cheney family and Liz Cheney and her father, Dick Cheney, did they ever apologize for the fact there were no WMDs and they got us involved in a war and all our young men and women who died and came back maimed and psychologically scarred? Did they ever apologize for that? Have they ever been impeached for that?
Oh, that was just a mistake, John.
Let's
that was a mistake.
If we're going to go back and impeach people, let's go back and impeach Dick Cheney and George W. Bush. Everybody knows I thought George W. worst president ever. Why don't we go back and impeach them for getting us involved in wars where they lied to us about WMDs that never existed? Why don't we impeach them?
It'll never happen because they're all in the same party. They're all in it together. They all rub each other's back. And mark my words, John, this country is going to be sent to war somewhere else within 6 months because that's what they want.
Yeah, because that's how they make their money.
That's how they make their money.
We've been going through one of the platforms that Trump ran on. The whole movement is based on is get out of these endless Middle Eastern wars that they make money and our kids die, and there's no purpose. I mean, we've been railing against this forever. Patrick, thank you. Fort Lauderdale, you're spot on. Keep trading, baby. Keep making money. Liz P coming up. Let's go to Sheila in Chicago. Sheila, line 1, you're live.
Good morning. Thank you for my call. I wanted to make 2 points. The first one is I don't think we have to wait for 2022. I think 50 million plus of us have the power of the purse now.
Bingo.
I watched War Room, and Steve Bannon had a religious person on saying about fasting, and I thought he was going to follow up with getting 50 million people to economically fast. We can be heard now. And then secondly, I will forever be offended that the RNC chairman sent me an email yesterday during the impeachment of my president, congratulating herself on becoming the chairman and asking for money. And then the third thing, the music that you have on in the morning, who picks it?
Kiara. You like it or hate it?
Thank you for my call.
Wait, Sheila, wait. Do you like the music or do you hate the music?
It's a little harsh early in the morning, but I'm getting accustomed to it, and my kids say I should love it. Follow
your kids, Sheila. Follow your kids. Kiara picks the music, and if I were to take a poll right now, she would probably win 99% to 1%, Sheila. So, But look, you fight back with your money. I mean, you fight back, you starve these companies. The first and easiest thing to do, this is the easiest thing to do, is take your money. If you're in a big bank, a big box bank, a Wall Street bank, take your money out, close all your accounts, time deposits, as soon as the CD's up, get rid of that. Demand deposits, that's how they make their money. Credit cards, shut them down, close them all, go to a community bank or a credit union. That's the easiest thing to do. And the service is better. Our whole company is with Bayport Credit Union, Newport News. They got 4 branches. They fall all over themselves to serve our little tiny company, right? So I would never give my money to a Covey or these people. Forget them. All right, let's
Power
go.
Of the purse.
Power of the purse.
Radio Free America.
I love that, Radio Free America. All right,
good.
Let's get to Brittany in Pennsylvania, line 4. Brittany, you're live.
Hi, John. It's such an honor to be on your show.
Thank you.
I am a dedicated War Room Pandemic fan, and I found you there, and I'm so thankful that I did. So I'm 30 years old, and sadly, I just started really engaging in all this the night of the election because I really wasn't brought up with politics in my life, so, the distractions of life, you just don't really get involved, so I'm ashamed of that, but I've been eat, sleeping, and breathing podcasts and YouTube ever since, and I'm in pretty much a really heavily Democratic area, and it's really intimidating, and I don't really have the confidence with the inexperience that I have to, speak out and get groups together, but that's all I want to do right now is just get people locally involved and get myself more educated and involved. So I just, if you have any advice for someone in my position.
Yes. What town do you live in?
I'm in Chester County, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Harris is there, so I've been to Chester at the casino and at the racetrack. So,
okay.
Look, here's the first thing you do. Here's the easiest thing to do, and you'll be safe, right? Find out who runs the city of county of Chester Republican Party. There's a party organization there. Might be small, but they have it. And they'll have meetings. And the first thing you want to do is join the party locally and go to their meeting. And it might cost you $25 to be a member or something. Do that. But there's all Republicans there. Because the first thing that Trump voters have to do, we have to take over the local parties from the bottom up, and you have to be involved. And
that's where the Democrats snuck in when we weren't paying attention.
Exactly. They took their parties over, and then they took the local election apparatus over, and then you went to mail-out ballots and everything of that nature. So that's the first thing you do, and that's how you first get involved. And then once you're involved, you're going to find Trump candidates that are running for something in Chester. Could be school board, could be supervisor, right? You find them and you back them. And you work in opposition to the Rhino Republicans there that are going to silence you and that are sellouts and quislings. And that's how you take over the party. Brittany in Chester County, Pennsylvania, is the building block of the takeover.
Well, I have a big mouth, but I'm not educated enough right now, so I'm just trying to gather as much info as I can before I use my big mouth and get destroyed. So
get to a couple meetings, and you'll feel more confident. You'll get to know some of the people, and then use your voice, and your confidence will grow. That's my advice. I hope it's helpful. And stay involved with us. This is Radio Free America. In New Jersey, Don, you're live.
I just wanted to say I love the show. God bless you for doing the work that you do. I hope that you continue to rise. I let all my friends know about your show and how great it is. I was calling you. I'm definitely with you on the whole grassroots movements throughout the country and trying to take over the party. Primarily why I was calling you is because obviously I've been down like a lot of people are. And I was wondering, Colonel Waldron, retired Army Colonel Waldron, who kind of went around the country with Rudy Giuliani. I mean, he made some pretty frightening, he has some pretty frightening findings. And as far as I can tell, I mean, the guy seems like a very reputable, well-credentialed guy, you know, with top security clearance. And my question is, I mean, is anybody going to cover what he has found?
I'm not, because there's no verification of it. So I'm not going to cover it, Don. Sorry, I'm just not. You know,
the thing is,
there's no verification. There's no verification of satellite servers in Italy. I mean, all this stuff. You know, there's no verification. I got to get verification before I can cover something, Don. So I'm not going to cover it. I'm sorry.
Okay, and what I'm saying is, do you know anything, John, about his? I mean, is there something about his credentials that may not be?
I really don't know. I'm not going to cover it because it's not verified, and so I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
Got you.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
know.
and I wasn't calling you to get you on some conspiracy. That's not why I called.
Right.
I'm just trying to find out: is there something about this guy that's not that I don't know about.
Don, I don't know anything about him. Don, I've not covered him. I've not researched it, and I don't know anything about it. I got some callers on the Italy satellite on the moon thing, and I put
I'm not calling you about
I put
that.
Christine on it, and she spent a day on it and got back to me and said it's bogus. So I just can't spend time on it.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right,
the answer is
John.
I don't know. I don't know. Don.
Okay.
Thank you though.
All right, keep up.
Don,
the great work,
where in New Jersey are you?
I'm in Scotch Plains. I'm originally from Irvington.
Yes, sir.
And then kind of grew up in Edison. What I was going to ask you is, and obviously you have other people to take calls on.
Right.
Do you know whether or not, who would I reach out to? Do you have a big following in New Jersey?
Me? Nah. I mean, I'm from New Jersey. I grew up in Middlesex. I grew up in Old Bridge, and then when I was in high school, I moved to Madison. My father lived in. My parents lived in Old Bridge and then Edison, and then we moved to Madison. I was YAF chairman and Reagan chairman of Middlesex County youth chairman in 1976. So I go back a long way. And my aunt lived in Scotch Plains, so we used to go there for Thanksgiving. But I don't really have any connections there now. But Don, thank you, and hang tough.
Thank you, Don.
You got it, buddy. Let's get to Johnny in Boston, line 2. Johnny, you're live.
Morning, John Boy. How you doing?
Good, man.
I was watching this dog and pony show yesterday, and it seemed like the theme of the day for the Dems was race, as it always seems to come back to with these people. Screaming white supremacy, this and that. I mean, I'm watching this. I'm watching one after the. It's almost like they show up to work, John, and go get a script from AOC and the squad, and this Cori Bush, this newly elected congresswoman. She seems like she went to charm school with Al Sharpton. I mean, it's just unbelievable that the Republicans can just sit there and not challenge these people when they're crying out these false claims of white supremacy. It's really scary. And another thing, John, I don't know if you've been following these new appointments that Biden's trying to push through now. He has this Kristen Clark is her name, and she's going to the DOJ, the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division. And if you look into her background, she was the president of a nonprofit who seems to show up a lot with Stacey Abrams and this voter reform movement down in Georgia. So my question to you, John, is I hear you talking about voter reform down there. How is this going to play out now that you're potentially going to have somebody in the highest power in the nation at that level? How are you going to go about voter reform when you have someone like her at the top possibly calling the shots?
Because the way the Constitution is written and the way the law is written is that the voting laws in each state are determined only by the General Assembly of that state, not by Congress and not on the federal level. Now, they will sue. Stacey Abrams will sue. Stacey Abrams will call them racist and white supremacist, right?
Exactly.
Just like you said earlier. I mean, that's the new buzzword, right?
Yep,
if I go to Dunkin' Donuts and I order a coffee, a container of coffee, and I want the pumpkin spice, they can call me a racist. It doesn't matter what you do.
Somebody.
It doesn't matter what you do. They call you a racist. So they're going to have to withstand that because that's the new mantra now. That's all you're getting, white supremacist, racist, because of what hand sanitizer you use. It doesn't matter. So they're going to have to withstand that. But the voter laws are in each state, and that's why we need to elect Republican General Assemblies and hold them accountable to making the laws in the states that matter to us fair and equal, not mail-in ballots where you go to Starbucks and they're floating around in the counter like people were telling me there. I mean, it's insane. But you're going to get sued and you're going to get called names. And hopefully there's enough judges out there that are going to interpret the Constitution and not override and not try to override state law. And what these governors did in the pandemic is they leveraged COVID-19, and I was talking about this in April. I said the real reason for the panic in COVID-19 is for mail-in ballots, and that's what they did. So we're going to have to deal with that. But you got to fight, Johnny. Hope I've
I know,
answered.
John. It just seems like it's a real slippery slope with this crew, especially, like I said, with the squad, and it just seems like they have a lot of steam, and it's just I don't know, it just really scares me, John.
Oh, you got
because that's the one subject.
Fasten your
That's the one
seatbelts, Johnny.
subject.
Go ahead.
It's the one subject that the other side really can't can't go after them on, because the minute they try to rebuke them, that's it. Their career might be over, John. And these Dems know that race is the one subject that is so scary for these people on the other side that it's almost impossible to defeat these people, John.
Okay, Johnny, thank you. But you're right. I mean, it's a scary time, and you better fasten your seat belts. Let's get to Bill in Pennsylvania, line 4. Bill, you're live.
Hi, it's John.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Hey, listening yesterday, I heard this woman call in from Georgia, and today a lady from Chester County, Pennsylvania, and then your national committee woman. I'm hearing a lot of energy. I'm starting to feel momentum, and I'm feeling engagement, and it's especially from your women callers. And that needs to start to be the model. There needs to be a blueprint. We talked yesterday about Florida, but I think the big part of the Florida blueprint is how they turned it around, how they fixed it, how they took the mess they had and straightened it out. And then you take that blueprint and you make it available as a starting point, like the lady from Chester County wants to do something, but she doesn't know where the levers are. She doesn't know where the steering wheel and the brake is. And so someone needs to lay out a blueprint of how this was done in Florida, how they turned it around, and then you keep this momentum going, because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it on your show. You need to, and the gentleman that called in that was questioning, the Republican Party and had friends that were questioning the Republican Party, those are the people that we can't lose. Those are the people that we can't have wander off the reservation. And so it's so important that we move quickly, that we keep this momentum going on a daily basis. And if you can get a blueprint in the hands of the people like that lady from Chester County, this will take off like a freight train. What do you think?
Radio Free America. I mean, here's where we come and figure this out together. And Bill, what a turnaround from Bill in Pennsylvania in 24 hours, right? You called in, you were all down. And now you're fired up because we can do this. We can do this, and you hear the calls. That's why this show is so critical. And I'm just not saying because I'm here, because it's our community. They've shut us down on social media, and this is where we come and talk and figure things out. And the enthusiasm that you felt today is real. And yes, go ahead.
You got to take the energy from the people that are watching this show trial down in Washington,
right,
and direct that energy towards the momentum of the movement.
That's right.
And it needs to be based around the Florida blueprint of how Florida turned it around from 2000.
Right.
And somebody that knows Florida and knows how that happened needs to start to create a blueprint and get it in the hands of the people like the lady that called in from Chester County.
Yep, exactly.
And then we've got traction.
Right. So I like to lead by example, right? That's what that's what I tell my my family. Got to lead by example. So I'm making up with my enemies on the right that I had spats with for whatever stupid reason I did. Right. So that's one thing I'm doing. Some of it's not comfortable, so you got to apologize. And I've checked out of my local Republican Party. I live in Chesapeake, Virginia. They threw us out. They threw my wife and I out over backing a Trump candidate for revenue commissioner or something. So they threw us out of the party, wouldn't renew our stuff. And I just kind of walked away, right? But I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to go back to Chesapeake. I'm going to go back to the Republican Party there. I'm going to go back to joining it. I'm going to go to their stupid meetings when I'm in town. and then I'm going to get all the Trump people to come out and join with me, and I'm going to take it over.
Build the momentum, and then engage people like the gentleman that called in that was questioning the Republican Party. Give him hope. Show him the path.
The pathway
And
is
he'll
to take
bring-
it over. You're right, Bill.
He'll bring his friends.
Hey, Bill, thank you. Thank you. Big turnaround in 24 hours from Bill in Pennsylvania. Let's go to Alabama. Kara, let's get to Alabama. Let's get to Sandy in Alabama on line 1. Sandy, you're live.
Hi. I'm sorry I can't hear the radio program while I'm on hold, so I hope I'm not repeating anything. But
Go ahead, Sandy.
I totally agree with Ginger Howard, but until the Republican leadership stands up and starts letting the public know that, you can shout that stuff from the highest rooftop, and the average Joe is still not going to get it, and they're still going to be disgruntled with the Republican Party. We need the leadership to stand up and call out these rhinos and let them know that they are not running again. And their donors lick their finger and stick it in the wind to see which way the wind's blowing, and they donate to who they think is going to win. And when their donors figure out that the Republican Party is not behind, when Mitch McConnell's donors figure out the Republican Party is not behind him, his donors won't donate to him. They'll donate to who they think was going to win. So the leadership has got to stand up and take a stand against these rhinos. I know leadership is not supposed to take sides, but they can at least stand against the rhinos. They've got to get that out. When people start hearing that people like these 10 that voted for the impeachment, when they start hearing from the leadership, I'm talking about the national leadership, the state leadership, all those higher ups, that they are not going to be running again, that's when you will be able to retain these disgruntled members. But until you do that, you're not. The party's going to be split.
Well, Sandy, you just had 2 leaders on, 2 National State Committee women. These are leaders of the party, Patty Lyman from Virginia and Ginger Howard from Georgia. And you heard the same thing from them. So let's define leadership, right? I mean, Rick Scott is not our leader, and so define leadership, right? It starts from within, and we're getting there. But I hear what you're saying, but they're tied to the money, and we get it. But I think it was Ginger Howard that said, I got an email and I got the same email. Rick Scott, head of the Republican Senatorial Committee, asking for money, and she says, they're tone deaf, they just don't get it, and I'm not giving them anything. And she's a leader in the party. Right, Sandy? So you're spot on, but we're going to do this internally. Thank you, Sandy from Alabama. Thank you.
They need to get that message out there.
Besides, great governor, and congratulations to the Crimson Tide winning the championship, Sandy. Let's get to Amy in Fairfax, Virginia. Amy, line 3, you're live.
Yes, I just want to give a warning to those people who are going to take on the rhinos. In Fairfax, with the local committee, Fairfax County Republicans, the Trump people did win. We won the battle, but some can argue we lost the war. The rhinos didn't like the results of the election back in the Hannigan days, and all picked up, left, and created a competing organization, an so-called ad hoc suburban Virginia GOP, led by none other than Mike Ginsburg, who you had on yesterday. And the problem is, yes, in numbers, the Trump folks do run Fairfax County Republican Committee, but all the money went to suburban Virginia GOP with the rhinos. Meanwhile, they've got money, and none other than Mitch McConnell helped them out, to put commercials on about the new Green Deal in Virginia. That's their big agenda item. Whereas the local committee is lucky they can pay their utilities. So you've got to be prepared to take on the rhinos on every front. And we still, we went 0 for 14 in the last election, state elections. And this is something that, those folks who are going to take on the rhinos got to realize this is not a short-term thing. Yes, you can get the numbers to take on the rhinos, but getting the money and getting soldiers out there is a very different thing. It's a long-term war you're in when you have entrenched rhinos even on your local level, because you can remove them physically from the local parties, but they're going to find a way to have their say. And local media, other than one radio station, interviews suburban Virginia GOP, not the local committees. This is what we're now up against.
Amy, I got to roll. Amy in Fairfax, Amania, I hear what you're saying. I hear you loud and clear, and thank you for that. I want to thank all my callers for the day. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.